Hebrews. This is our Prophets of Awakening. This is Thursday night, Women's Advanced Bible Study night, 11th of May, 2023. The topic inside of the class is becoming a better Israelite woman. So we'll touch on a few topics and then we'll dialogue on them, discuss them. Okay, let everybody know you can go to our YouTube channel, Prophets of Awakening, and check out our videos. And there's a lot of information given, and the videos will connect dots for you and lead you into the truth of the Holy Scriptures. And if you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And for those that want to support the channel, you can go to $ Prophet Leonard in case you want to support the channel. That's needed also. So with that being said, it's going to tell everybody that this is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh being the Old Testament, Torah being the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses at Mount Sinai. Shalom and welcome to Prophets of Awakening, and welcome to our Women's Advanced Bible Study. We're going to go into our normal, which is a moment of silence. Okay, prayer, Psalms. We do some women's health current events, and then we'll do a little need to know information. We'll open it up for some questions and comments, and then we'll go into the topic for discussion, which is becoming a better Israelite woman. Okay. So with that being said, we're going to this moment of silence for the Lord of hosts and all that He's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Okay. Oh Lord, we come before Thee this day, thanking You for Your mercy and Your great power. We appreciate You, O Lord, for Your patience and guidance in these last days. Oh Lord, we thank You for Your awakening of us to this great understanding of Your word. We come before You that You keep and direct us through these final days. Oh Lord, for there are trials and pestilence and mayhem at every turn. And we see Your mighty hand in the world's affairs and how You are constructing Your people's deliverance. And we trust and rely upon Thee for this cause. We honor and respect You greatly. Turn out Thy face from us, but allow us in our searching of You to find You, O Lord, and to dwell with You. Peace be unto You. Okay. Somebody gonna read the Psalms?
Yes, sir. Psalms 6,
Okay.
1. No, Lord, don't punish me in the heat of Your anger. Pity me, O Lord, for I am weak. 3. Heal me, for my body is sick, and I am upset and disturbed. My mind is filled with apprehension and with gloom. Oh, restore me soon. Come, O Lord, and make me well. In Your kindness, save me. For if I die, I cannot give You glory by perishing You before my friends. I am worn out with pain. Every night my pillow is wet with tears. My eyes is growing old and dim with grief because of all my enemies. Go leave me now, you men of evil deeds, for the Lord has heard my weeping and my pleading. He will answer all my prayers. All my enemies shall be suddenly dishonored, terror, sickened, and disgraced. Go, God will turn them back to shame in shame. And what I get from this is that he's telling the Lord that he needs him to forgive him, and that he is, grateful, and that he wants the Lord to just be there for him, and he know the Lord will, and his enemies that um, rose against him, they will be punished.
Okay. So that's all. You're reading out of King James.
Yes, sir.
You got King James for the Bible?
Right now I got the Living Bible.
Okay, yeah, I know that. Oh, we were saying the same thing. I was like, what the? Okay, yeah. Uh, um, anybody else got any comments on that? Okay, we're gonna go to our women's health moment.
Okay, shalom, everyone. Tonight, I'm going to talk about parasites and what causes them in our bodies. Sister Cheryl, can you mute, please? A parasite is an organism that lives on or in a host organism and gets its food from or at the expense of its host. They survive by taking nutrients from their host. Parasites that can affect humans include ticks, bed bugs, red mite, tapeworms, and hookworms, just to name a few. Without a host, a parasite cannot live, grow, and multiply. For this reason, a parasite rarely kills its host, but it can spread diseases, some of which may be fatal. Many are invisible to the human eye, and different parasites have different effects. What is a parasitic infection and its symptoms? Parasitic infections are any illness or conditions caused by parasites living and reproducing in your body. Parasitic infections often cause intestinal illness with symptoms like diarrhea, fever, sleeping problems, and vomiting, but they can also give you itchy skin rashes or infect other parts of your body, like your brain or lungs. However, parasites can pass on a wide variety of conditions, so symptoms can be hard to predict. Often there are no symptoms, or symptoms appear long after infection, but the parasite can still be transmitted to another person who may develop symptoms. So, how can you get parasites and how can we avoid being infected with them? Different parasites are transmitted to humans by different methods. Some are in the air that we breathe, carried on in the wind along with other dust particles. Others are carried by our pets. Dogs, cats, birds, and even fish have parasites that can and do infect humans. Another source of parasites is the foods that we eat, including beef, pork, fish, and even fresh vegetables and fruits. Contaminated water, even the chlorinated water that comes from the faucet, can harbor certain parasites and outbreaks of illness do occur. Other parasites are spreaded by mosquitoes, flies, fleas, and other insects. Some parasites live in wet grass, mud puddles, or other standing water and can easily penetrate bare skin. We can only minimize infection by following good basic health practices, such as washing our hands often, as this is the primary source of contamination. Clean your vegetables and fruits well before eating. Rinse off meats before preparation and cook all meats thoroughly. Drink only filtered or bottled water. Keep your pets clean and free of parasites. Keep your home, carpet, and furniture clean. Keep your home free of bugs, mold, mildew, and etc. If your immune system is challenged or impaired, take high quality vitamins and mineral supplements. So remember that parasites are not a disease, but they may spread diseases that can be fatal. However, many parasitic infections are treatable and preventable, and taking measures such as eating meats that are cooked thoroughly and washing your hands often may help prevent a parasite infection. I'm going to read Exodus chapter 16, verses 16 through 21, wilderness murmurings. This is verse 16. This is the thing which the Lord had commanded. Gather of it every man according to his eating, and omer for every man according to the number of your persons. Take ye every man for them which are in his tent. And the children of Israel did so, and gathered some more, some less. And when they did meet it with an omer, he that gathered much had nothing over, and he that gathered little had no lack. They gathered every man according to his eating. Verse 19. And Moses said, let no man leave of it till the morning. Notwithstanding, they hearkened not unto Moses, but some of them left of it until the morning, and it bred worms and stank. And Moses was wroth with them. Verse 21. And they gathered it every morning, every man according to his eating. And when the sun waxed hot, it melted. That was Exodus chapter 16, verses 16 through 21.
Okay, appreciate that information. Okay. Got some current events here.
A lot of news to get to here on this Wednesday. So let's dive into what's happening right now at the U.S. border. There are Border Patrol agents saying that this is war. They are being overrun, using the term broken arrow. We're at a broken arrow moment. And for those of you that know what that term means, it simply means we're overrun. We have to throw up our arms. It's surrender. It's when a unit is basically overrun. But we just had, and we're going to go down to Brownsville, Texas. We're also going to be in El Paso in just moments. Michael Yan is joining us. Nick Sorter is joining us. But right now we got some breaking news. Now this is coming from CBS News. So take this with a grain of salt. But CBS News claims they have internal documents from the White House because they are a mouthpiece of the White House. So perhaps this is true. We don't know yet. But of course, and we're trying to digest this. So this is from CBS News. U.S. finalizes asylum restriction to ramp up border deportations once Title 42 lapses, which is going to happen tomorrow. So the Biden administration has finalized a sweeping restriction on asylum that it plans to use to ramp up swift deportations of migrants who cross the U.S.-Mexico border after the Title 42 pandemic emergency policy sunsets on Thursday.
These are all double negatives. It's hard to understand. So Title 42 allows the United States to deny entrance to migrants seeking asylum, and it was put in place during the COVID pandemic.
By Trump. Using CDC guidelines.
Right, in order to prevent mass migration. That is going to expire. It was set to expire months ago, and the Biden administration extended it. And now when it expires, so it is like we're talking in double negatives. They're thinking of ways to continue to put in place asylum. So when they're saying they're extending Title 42, it means they're going to continue to deny entrance.
So this is something else. I mean, and we're going to get some analysis on this here in a second, but hundreds of U.S. asylum officers, according to this from CBS News, were trained on how to enforce the restriction on Tuesday. And the regulation was published on Wednesday, less than 48 hours before Title 42 is set to expire. CBS News first reported the regulation's finalization on Tuesday, as well as the guidance issued to asylum officers charged with implementing it. So, will this actually happen, and what does this mean? For more on that, we are going down to the border. I had a chance to speak with Michael Yan, who is in El Paso. He just arrived in El Paso. He just came from Panama, of course, at the Darien Gap. And then we're also going to be speaking to Nick Sorter, who just arrived in Brownsville, Texas. But first, let's go to Michael Yan in El Paso, Texas. Well, we're following the border crisis very closely. Of course, one day until Title 42 expires, and all hell has been breaking loose, not even just running up until Title 42 expires, but it's been happening for weeks and weeks and months. Michael Yan has been covering this. We had him on the show down in Panama just a few days ago at the Darien Gap, of course, where a lot of these migrants start their journey or maybe midway through their journey on their way to the United States, loading up into buses. Well, now Michael is in Texas, right at the border, and he joins us from El Paso, Texas. Michael, good to see you again. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me on, Clayton. Yeah, I'm in El Paso. I just got in from the Darien Gap. I got in at about midnight last night from Panama. And as you heard before, Secretary Mayorkas, Secretary of Homeland Security, has said that they will be closing down the Darien route, which is completely untrue. I got that whole area stitched up. Nobody can come through without me knowing each village as they come village by village. The numbers are actually continuing to increase. Now, as you know, Title 42 is about to drop, which, and as you've already mentioned, Clayton, it really, in a sense, doesn't even matter because it already doesn't exist. The border does not exist. For instance, in the Rio Grande Valley, which is on the other side of Texas, I'm on the El Paso side, which is next to the Arizona border. It's just completely wide open. There's almost no border patrol there whatsoever. And that's actually where SpaceX is. I've been to SpaceX many times, mostly for two reasons. One is I like SpaceX, and another is the border. And SpaceX is right on the border.
Right on the border. Now, you tweeted earlier that it's what a security concern, and you're worried about the people that work at SpaceX. It's right there. Describe what you're hearing about the concerns of the safety of the people there and what they're experiencing.
Guys, do your wife a favor this year by getting her a
So anybody familiar with that? What's going on with the border?
No, sir.
Yes, I've been watching a little bit on it here and there,
Okay.
on what's happening. And, I didn't get a chance to really go into the research, and maybe someone else can enlighten me on this. But I was watching one news channel, and they were saying that they were not allowing the Mexicans to come in, but were allowing the people from Venezuela to come in. Did anyone else hear about that?
Right.
I
Go
heard,
ahead.
excuse me, Shalom. Yes, I heard that too, Miss Michelle. I heard the same thing. And that goes back to the other night when we were talking about the war as well,
Mm-hmm.
who they choose to let come in and who they choose to close out.
Right, right. Have you got an understanding of what really that is yet? Like, I know that they're trying to stop a lot of it, but I would think that they would stop you know, everyone.
I would think the same thing if it was a perfect world and there was justice and no prophecy. But I do
Right.
believe that, because of the prophecy, everything is playing itself out. Is
Mm-hmm.
it right? No, it's
Mm-hmm.
wrong. But,
Mm-hmm.
that's part of that curse we talked about on last night.
Right. And I was on that same channel. I noticed that at this certain gate, it was only men. There were no women and children in that line waiting to, come across the border. That stood out to me too.
Yeah. If
Yeah.
you go back and check it out. It's title. You go back to what the Title 42 is. Trump put that in
Yes,
place
sir.
in during time of COVID, and it was to protect the American population because of what was going on with COVID. They wanted to stop they want to stop the people from coming in through the border. So when Trump got out of office, Biden continued it. So you got this border being closed up all this time, and all these immigrants wanting to come over here, right? And so
Right.
when the time came for it to expire, about 6 or 7 months ago, Biden them extended it. But the trick to it is Trump got into a lot of trouble, if you remember, with all those kids he had on the border, the
Mm,
detention camp. So,
Yes,
right,
sir.
what Biden did when he extended it was they trying to clean it up. So they saying that they did it with the males, so they won't get in trouble with the family, with the extended family. So they saying they only dealing with the males, and the immigrants got slick too. So they only got the men coming to the border to try to get past there. And so where the problem is coming in at is that this thing gonna come to gonna be expired tonight at midnight. So what will happen is you got thousands and thousands of people already ganged up in all these different locations to come across the border. So that's alarm in America. The American, the border patrol and everybody is alarmed because it's just going to be a mass influx of immigrants going to come across the border. And
Right.
they
And I
already
heard.
been staging. They've been staging over the last couple of months. If you remember, they burnt that one location up.
right.
People blew up. Yeah,
Right.
all over tied to this, and they waiting till 12 o'clock. That's where it's got all these people amassed at all these different locations to bomb rush the border at midnight.
Mm,
Right. That's where the drama coming in, and then to tie into that, which we know that the powers that be behind it, they got a big crisis going on with Haiti right now. There's immigrants,
right.
being Haitian immigrants. Right. So it's gonna be it's gonna by I figure by the weekend it's gonna be ugly.
Yes, it's starting to ramp up, and Biden's trying to say he's going to send a mere 1,500 soldiers. What is that going
Right.
to do?
Exactly.
Exactly. Yep.
Well, yeah. And this situation right here is pretty much gonna make or break whatever candidate's trying to run for president. Well, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. Ain't that so? Okay, so with that being said, we got another one right here. I thought this was pretty interesting right here. It's kind of like going over a lot of people's head. People like,
over. Times are changing, and with that, technology is changing right along with it. Your every move is being watched. The only safe place you probably have is entering a bathroom, unless there's a pervert who's put a camera in there. With times changing, many businesses are taking on new things to stop the theft in their store, to even stock the shelves in their store. And this one particular equipment is all they need to do it. But is it invading your privacy because of what it's doing and how it's doing it? Let's talk about it. What's up, fam? Welcome back to the channel. How are you guys doing today? I hope you're having a very blessed Thursday. So, a lot is going down. Before we get into it, give this video a thumbs up and share it out with your family and your friends on social media. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please hit that red button and turn on your notifications, because sometimes I post more than 1, 2, 3 videos a day, depending on the day. It is absolutely not a secret that since 2020, stores have been trying to figure out how they can do more and spend less. And with that, they've come up with new ways to employ their new workers. Their new workers, which is AI. So you're seeing more self-checkout. You're seeing less cashiers. But that's not all they're doing. Walmart and Sam's Club is keeping a secret, and it's right in front of your face. I see these things each and every time I go to Sam's Club or Walmart. And you see them too. And not once did I think that this piece of equipment was doing what it's doing. But are they invading your privacy? You know, I've been followed in Walmart by an employee because he said I was recording or taking pictures. And yet they don't have a sign posted saying that you can. But what Walmart is doing is no different. Let's talk about it. So how Walmart and Sam's Club is keeping their shelves stocked in a reasonable amount of time is pictures. What's taking the pictures, not their employees? Well, if you want to consider their broom sweeping, mop cleaning tool robot that goes around the store, you've seen them, and they can sense if a cart is there or if you're there, and it'll stop or it'll go around you. But that's not all that piece of machinery is doing. A cleaning device that is robotic that goes around the store, mopping or sweeping, whatever it does, is also collecting data. It's taking pictures, more pictures than you can take in a minute. It's taking pictures and it's sending it back to a system. This allows the employees to better stock the shelves. They'll be able to see if the item is out. It can distinguish between one item and another. If it's Frosted Flakes or Fruit Loops, it can tell the difference and it sends it back to the employees so that if they are in stock, I should say that, if they are in stock, then that employee can then put them out on the shelf. But in taking pictures of the shelves, what else are they snapping pictures of? Because if you're standing there, guess what? You're in that picture. And it's collecting data, quick data. So in some Walmarts, you'll see more cameras than usual. I have a video, I'm going to show you a little clip of it. But right now you're seeing just, not say a few, it's more cameras in Walmart now and Sam's Club that are hanging from the ceiling. But in other stores, they have a database in the back of the store, and they have not just those hanging cameras, they have a long line of cameras. So they can see exactly what you're purchasing, exactly what you're taking, and act accordingly. So while Walmart and now Sam's Club is closing locations, the ones that are remaining, they're trying to protect their investment, and they're pouring in millions of dollars in technology and cameras to chop out that high crime rate so that those stores can potentially stay open as opposed to closing. So let this be a warning to you. If you didn't know, now you do know. Y'all, please don't be fooled and think that they're only using those cameras to see exactly what you like to purchase or to see what is missing from the shelves. Yeah.
Okay. Can anybody relate to that? Is anybody aware of that?
Yeah, I've seen them go around and do things. I heard about them using them, and I know we use them at the employment where I work at the VA hospital at the lab to take blood back and forth and also run tests back and forth, results and stuff.
Okay. Ain't that something? Anybody else got any comments on that? Okay. This is a little need to know information right here.
I have ever made. This is undoubtedly my most favorite one to research and make. So make sure you stay tuned. How inbred is King Charles? Very. Thank you guys so much for watching. I am the Shy. I know. I'm not stopping the video there. King Charles is already known to be quite inbred. Although most people in the UK and beyond know that King Charles is inbred owing to the fact that his parents were related to one another The true scale of his inbreeding is still undisclosed to the public until today. This video will expose the true extent of Charles's inbreeding, and it's really surprising. As such, there are 3 sections to this video. The first part will be theoretical and complex at times, as we detail the consanguinity coefficient. I will break it down as best as possible, and essentially this refers to how inbred someone is. The second part of today's video will detail and break down how inbred King Charles is, using his genealogy as method and exposing some of the more forgotten parts of his family history. For example, how his parents are related through multiple lines and how this influences King Charles's consanguinity coefficient. With all of that out the way, let's move on to today's video. To actually work out how inbred King Charles is, we need to be scientific and use an equation. Turns out, working out how inbred someone is actually pretty popular, so there's plenty of guidance online to support this. Nonetheless, I'm going to break it down in simple terms here, how to work out how inbred someone is. To do this, we need to use something known as the coefficient of consanguinity relationship, also known as consanguinity coefficient. This scale is from 0, the least inbred, to 1, which is the most inbred, which is actually impossible to have. The reason is because in order to have 100% consanguinity, or 1, if we apply the scale, you would have to have a child with yourself, which is, biologically speaking, impossible for a human to do. Sorry, royalty, you may have power, but you certainly don't have the power to do that. Well, at least not yet. However, there are also some other relations where it's possible, sadly, to have children with. If 2 full siblings had a child with one another, despite being illegal in most nations, their child would have a consanguinity coefficient of roughly 0.25, or 25%. Charles II of Spain had a consanguinity coefficient of 0.25, but his parents were not full siblings to one another. This is because the consanguinity coefficient takes into account all of the inbreeding of the person's ancestors, and this stacks together. For example, if a person was to have a child with their first cousin, their child would have a consanguinity coefficient of 0.07, or 7%. However, if that child then went on to have their own child with a first cousin, this would then increase the consanguinity to roughly 11%. In fact, this table breaks down the basic consanguinity coefficients for certain relationships. So pause the video if you want to research this in greater detail. The reason why we should apply this to King Charles is pretty simple. Royalty, whether it's as old as Tutankhamun or modern day, still engages in inbreeding, mainly because until very recently, the correct choice of a consort, whether a queen or prince, should come from royalty, or at least aristocracy. Even though the late Princess Diana was not from royalty, she was the daughter of an earl, and she was in fact a very distant cousin to King Charles. Even the current queen consort, Camilla, is a secret cousin to King Charles. However, this is an open secret and withheld to the public at large. If you want to know more, please click on this video. So, how inbred is King Charles, given his parents' close relationship? Fortunately, this question can be easily answered. Because Charles is a king, we can locate his family tree very easily. And this is a huge family tree. Unfortunately, to get an accurate assessment of Charles's true inbreeding, we'd have to take into account all of his known ancestors. This is hard, since we can trace King Charles's direct ancestry to William the Conqueror in 1066, and even beyond that. This difficulty then becomes even more complicated, since we have to take into account the inbreeding levels of his ancestors. And as we know, royalty of the past loved to marry their cousins and aunts and uncles. So, for the purposes of this video, let's look at all of Charles's ancestors up to his great-great-grandfather, King Edward VII. The reason why I've selected this is because King Edward VII is known to be an inbred king, since his parents, Queen Victoria and Prince Albert, were first cousins. If we look at Queen Victoria's ancestry, she was not inbred to any particular extent. So we will start from the ancestor of King Charles, which first experienced inbreeding. That is Edward VII. Edward VII was a bizarre king, although his behaviour was not caused by his inbreeding. Between hosting 24-course dinners, to drinking 3 bottles of wine daily, to secretly fathering the grandmother to Queen Camilla when he was 60 years old, Edward VII was not exactly a Victorian monarch. Now, let's refer to his inbreeding.
When it's time for a change, you don't shy away from the challenge. It's your vision and your stand action. That's why you rely on 3M high-strength color-changing spec.
Consanguinity coefficient would be almost 0.07, or 7% of a first cousin marriage. Her grandfathers were brothers. Intermarriage also occurred through another line. Prince Philip's other great-grandfather, King Christian IX of Denmark, was an uncle-in-law to Prince Philip's great-grandmother, Princess Alice of the United Kingdom. In all, Prince Philip was slightly inbred, having a consanguinity coefficient of roughly 6%, almost the same extent of Edward VII, who was the son of a first-cousin relationship. Now for the even messier part. Let's take an inbred individual, Prince Philip, and marry him to a non-inbred individual, Queen Elizabeth. Their kids would be fine, right? Wrong. This is because, as many of us know, Prince Philip and Queen Elizabeth II were related. On the royal family website, it claims that Philip and Queen Elizabeth are third cousins. Philip's great-grandmother, Princess Alice, was the sister to Queen Elizabeth's great-grandfather, King Edward VII. This means they are precisely third cousins. But hang on, because of how messy intermarriage in European royal families was since Queen Victoria, Philip and Elizabeth are in fact related through yet another line. Philip's grandfather, King George of Greece, was Princess Alexandra's brother. Remember, she was the wife to Edward VII, and therefore she is the great-grandmother to Queen Elizabeth.
Okay. Anybody familiar with inbreeding?
Yeah, I've heard of it and heard of it of the royalty family. You know, it goes back, and they say dates back to time.
So why do you think they're doing that?
Keep their bloodline
To keep the
strong.
bloodline pure and yeah.
Right. So based on everything that we went over, hold up.
So you know the
So based on everything we went over the other night, they know where they came from. See what I'm saying? And they proud of it. They're trying to hold on to that. They understand everything that we was looking at about the blonde hair, the blue eyes, and all and the origins of it. They understand that, and it's the utmost importance to them. That's why they inbreed to keep those characteristics alive.
Right.
You know, yeah. So they proud of that. Ain't that something?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Ain't that something? Okay. So with that being said, I'm gonna open it up for the questions, comments. Anybody got anything they want to talk about? Dialogue. Anybody got any questions? Okay. Play this right here. Then we go into
the
discussion.
election will be coming up next year, and every time the mainstream media always want to get the temperature of black people. Have you noticed the pattern? They always want to cover black people, cover what we think, what's the temperature with us, and then when they get us to vote for them, then they prioritize everybody else. As you've seen with the Biden administration, look right now. Illegal immigrants is getting everything. They're getting free phones. They're getting free places to stay. They're getting free clothes, shoes, while homeless black Americans get nothing. Schools that they have closed, buildings they have closed, all of a sudden can open these buildings up to the illegal immigrants that they're bringing in here by design. All this that you're seeing that's happening, even putting them in black neighborhoods, is being done by design. It's not by happenstance. On Thursday, Title 42 is ending, which Title 42 allowed the government to not allow asylum seekers to come into the country due to the pandemic that we was dealing with at that time period. Now, I have people that I know who work on the border, and they told me to my face that when Trump was in office, it was more control. They didn't have the influx. The moment Trump got out of office and Biden got into office, the floodgates opened immediately. So all this was done by design, and even talking about the design of that is a whole nother podcast in itself. So the New York Times put out an article where they talked to several black people. Now, they didn't talk to LGBT, they didn't talk to Asians, they didn't talk to Hispanics, they didn't talk to white women. They made sure to talk to black people. We only get focused where we can be used, and we are used to vote, because those other groups they're bringing in here, they don't vote or they can't vote. The ones who can vote, they don't take advantage of that at all. All they want to do is just be the labor class. Now, they said in that article, black voters' biggest policy priorities, they said stronger federal protections against restrictive voting laws, student loan debt relief, and criminal justice and police accountability measures. They say have failed or stalled, some because of Republican opposition and some because Democrats have declined to bypass the Senate filibuster rules. Those disappointments highlighted in interviews with more than 36 black voters, organizers, and elected officials in recent weeks leave open the question of just how enthusiastic Democrats' most important group of voters will be in 2024. Now, the New York Times has saying that black people is the most important voters, but look at how they have treated us. Democrat Mayor Eric Adams. Adams is up here talking about, well, we don't want to rush the judgment. You can't be calling it murder. You can't be. Democrats. Okay? Democrats, not Republicans. These Democrats are not Democrats. They are Dixiecrats. And the Dixiecrats, if you know who they are in American history, they are the most racist party ever, the Dixiecrats. Now, both parties are racist against black people. That's for sure. But we got to look at what particular party is offering a policy that can benefit our community. And flooding our communities with illegal immigrants, that don't work. Now, say what you want. The Republicans not pushing that, but Biden them is. You put Biden there another 8 years, those of you in these black communities all over the country, you're going to be pushed out. Those people across the border are going to come in, they're going to be put in by your Democrat people, and they're going to push you out. They're going to get you out of all your cities. They're going to get you out of all your neighborhoods. You're literally being pushed out. They're not grabbing you physically and throwing you out, but they're going to put these people in here, and these people become hostile toward you. Because anytime you get entitled people that come in and get free stuff, they get an attitude, they have nasty ways, and a lot of these people in their countries have anti-black racism. We know that out of Latin America. The black people in Latin America are treated horribly. So you're
okay. Can anybody relate to that? Now we're starting to get answers on what's going on with this border crisis. But I don't know about nobody else, but I've been in and out of Houston, over the last, Army and all that. And the last time I went there was a couple of months ago, and those immigrants that took Houston over. Like he's saying, they don't. And so I can imagine in all the other places. They didn't. You mean then you start talking about Mexican food and Mexican restaurants? They everywhere. Those businesses are thriving. But the local people, the people that's Americans that's here, they having trouble. But anything Mexican throw up, it just blow up. Because they got all these immigrants that run right to it. Anybody else witness that?
Yes,
Oh
sir.
yeah.
I'm witnessing.
But yeah, I know. I was like, wow. When I was in Houston, in those traffic lines, and everybody that come by, everybody on the side of me in the cars, Mexicans. That's all you see everywhere. It's like they just dumped the whole Mexican whole nation of Mexico in America. That's all you see. And then on top of that, they're arrogant. Okay. Yeah. Any comments on that?
Shalom, I have a comment. When um, Trump was in office, he really talked about them and made them feel, that they had to have a green card, were more scared to be in America. But like they're saying now, that they're coming over the border and being arrogant, like you're saying, wanting jobs. Now, some jobs they won't even take unless they pay them more.
Right.
They, they know how to beat the system.
All right. The system helping them.
Yes, sir. The
System
system
helping people.
I mean, but they make sure that their family they stay together, and then
Right.
if they leave out a home, they make sure that their family members come in and reap the benefits, and as they move on.
Right.
But we don't know who's Haitian. I mean, who's it's not all the Mexicans because they're more coming through Mexico from Salvador and different places like that
Venezuela.
also.
Hmm.
Venezuela, I meant.
Right.
Thank you.
Like that something. And then you can't when you start talking about that, you really can't tell the difference. You know what I mean? They all came from the same stock. You really can't too much tell the difference. You know? So yeah. So they just it's a conspiracy, point blank. It's not this ain't something just happening. It's plotting and planned. Read that. And like I said, if you go back to the Emancipation Proclamation when it first happened, a lot of people don't know it, but blacks had started taking over. They had the Senate and the White House, Congress was full of black folks, and they came in there and dragged them out of there and killed them. So we see the same thing happening now. Blacks starting to take over in all these different areas. So the way to counter this, they bring these immigrants in to undermine us. That's what's
Right.
going on. Yeah, and they got a bigger plan. Like I said, eventually they want us out of here. They're trying to find a way how to do it.
Right. And they hire a lot of them on these jobs that cannot even speak
Right.
English,
Right,
you
exactly.
know, and you cannot not
Government of labor.
right, you cannot hire them because it's quick for them to holler discrimination, and then here you are having a case, and like I said, working in HR, they bring their family members, their children or their sister, someone that can speak English, write English, to help them fill out the application and to
Right.
communicate with you.
Yeah. Then they turn around and hire that person to regulate all the Mexicans they hired.
Right.
And that's yeah, it's crazy. But like I said, that all is when you understand what's going on, time running out. So they
Yeah.
can play all their little trick and all they going to be playing out. Yeah. All that's when coming to an end. Yeah. Any more comments on that? Okay, so we down to this topic for discussion, and like I said, it's I thought it was something that was needed and uh, something different. So it's about becoming a better Israelite woman, being that this advanced Bible study for Israelite women, and I'm gonna go a couple of at least four different areas. I'm gonna talk about it, and then we'll play it, then we'll talk about it. So here go the first one right here. Okay. Okay.
Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Welcome back to the channel. I want to say a happy Sabbath prep for everybody. This is going to be a different video that I'm going to be doing. In addition to the regular Sabbath videos, I wanted to do this video about the Sabbath. So I have gotten a couple requests on online just about basic rules about how to observe the Sabbath. So I want to go over some precepts. It's all going to come from scripture. That's how I learned. I want to just point you guys in the right direction. You continue to pray on the process of observing the Sabbath and making sure that you're easy on yourself, because there might be things that you might learn along the way that can kind of be critiqued, so you can kind of get this thing right and get it perfect. Everybody's walk is different with the Most High, so none of us is not cookie cutter. So all I can do is direct you to the scriptures, so you guys can continue to do the research on your own, pray on it, and the Most High will absolutely guide you in the right direction. So this video is called Sabbath Rules. So let's first start with the law. When it first came out, so go all the way back to Exodus. Let's go to the beginning of the Bible, and let's go to Exodus 20, and let's look at the foundation of the Sabbath. So Exodus 28 through 11 reads as follows. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Most High thy Elohim. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cow, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Most High made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Most High blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. So that right there, you want to highlight and underscore whatever you do. You want to make sure that is the main one. If not any other one that I bring out, this one right here is the most important. Exodus 20 and 8. These are law, statutes, and commandments that we received from the Most High through Moses when we were taken out of Egypt. So this right here is the foundation of it. Absolutely. So you have to know that this mainly is going to no work. You cannot work. So making sure that if you do have a job that makes you work on the Sabbath day, which is Friday sundown to Saturday sundown. So let's get that out the way too. That is very important because different people say different things. However, it is Friday sundown and Saturday sundown. The reason why you do it is Saturday sundown is because in Genesis, when the Most High, right in chapter 1, when he's making each and every day, he says that the day begins at sundown. So you want to make sure that that's when you begin your first day. That's scripture. So regardless of how other people say it, you go to the scriptures and you make sure that you follow the scriptures. The scripture says when the sun goes down, it is a day to the Most High. That's the beginning of a new day. It's at nighttime, right? Which makes sense. See, everything in the world is backwards because it makes sense that once the day is at nighttime, it closes the day. The daylight is gone. So, but of course.
Okay. Any comments so far on that? You gonna let it play? More comments?
No, sir, not yet.
We follow daylight. I mean, I swear, when you're in the world, it is so backwards. It's just the devil. Anyway, so Exodus 28 through 11 is going to be the foundation, and that is, the main scripture when you're talking about the Sabbath. So that underscores no work. Again, Friday sundown to Saturday sundown. So that means that you can't be in them streets. That's what that means. It means Friday night, you ain't in them streets all the way till Saturday sundown. So, if you do want to go out and you want to hang out with your friends, there's nothing wrong with that. After Sabbath, you can absolutely do that, especially in the wintertime. It gets darker earlier. You might be able to have a nice dinner. Saturday night, maybe go to a lounge or something like that with your friends. There's nothing wrong with going out and having balance in your life. Don't get too caught up. Nothing wrong with it at all. You just want to make sure that you're not waiting for the sun to go down to go out there into the streets. That's what you want to do. Even though it is Sabbath is over, you want to be on a righteous walk and really kind of giving your life to the Most High. So your mind can't be on, when is the sun go to hell? I'm about to leave. I gotta get dressed. I gotta meet them at a certain time. And see, now you're not thinking about the Most High. You're not thinking about the Sabbath, and you're kind of taking away from that Sabbath because you're so worried about going out. So even though you can have Saturday night, it is just make sure you do everything in righteousness and make sure that you're doing everything with a clean heart. You don't want to like defile the Sabbath because you're worried about what time it is and going out and being worldly. You got 6 days to do whatever you want. Most highs don't ask for 24 hours from Friday night to Saturday night. I understand that's when everything happens, but blame that on the heathen because he's the one that had all this happen. Had Saturdays being out there when everybody's out there, and Friday night when everybody's out there, and Saturday night people are starting to get into the streets, and you're kind of mingling with those people. So go out on Sunday. I mean, it's not a problem. Go out Saturday night if you want to. If you can still make it to some restaurants in the wintertime, that's coming up. And like I said, it gets darker earlier, so you do have that evening. You still kind of settle it out. Saturday kind of gets settled out a little bit out of you. And then, then you start putting on your clothes and still kind of maybe having dinner at 9 o'clock or 8:30 or something like that because it's starting to get dark at like, 6:30 now, but soon it will be like 4:35. So you'll be able to have that time. In the summertime, not so much. I mean, it gets darker later. And a lot of things start to close around that time. So you got to just adjust your life. You're not in the world anymore, people. That's the point. Is you're supposed to come out of the world. So don't worry about if it aligns with the world. Go out on Sunday. There's plenty of places that are open on Sunday. You can have nice brunches. You can go out at nighttime. You can, and Sundays are it's still a weekend. So there's plenty of people outside. You're not missing anything. Isaiah 58, 13 and 14 reads as follows. If thou turn away thy foot from the Sabbath, from doing thy pleasure on my holy day, and call the Sabbath a delight, the holy of Yahweh honorable, and shalt honor him, not doing thine own ways, nor finding thine own pleasure, nor speaking thine own words, then shalt thou delight thyself in Yahweh, and I will cause thee to ride upon the high places of the earth, and feed thee with the heritage of Jacob thy father, for the mouth of the Most High hath spoken it. There you go.
So we see right here that the way it was worded, it's a blessing in keeping the Sabbath and honoring it the right way. It's a blessings coming in. Anybody got any comments on what they heard?
Yes, sir. I view it, yes, that it's a blessing too. Now also go back again, we always go back to the garden, but the way that Samuel in his deceitfulness and how they come through with making time be the way they want it to be and not according to the Bible. They push everything on a Friday night, Saturday. Those 2 days they know you work Monday through Friday, and then Saturdays when you're supposed to get out there in the world and do this, do that, and do that, and do that on Saturdays as well. So my perception of it is that it's, again, like you say, orchestrated. This is how they continue to use the trickery and bring you away from the truth and distract you with the worldly things.
Okay.
Shalom.
Anybody else?
Yes, shalom, everyone. I truly believe in that. The Sabbath is very important. Um, but I think, Brother Leonard, we talked about this, a while back. Is that for right now we have to do the best that we can do because of our situation. It may be your job or other things or whatever, right? But I want to read 1 Samuel 16 and 7. It says, But the Lord said unto Samuel, Look not on his countenance or on the height of his stature, but because I have refused him, for the Lord seeth not as man seeth, for man looketh on the outward appearance, but the Lord looketh on the heart. So he knows your heart. So say one Saturday out of the month, you are required to go to work. You do the best that you can do. You know, prepare your lunch when you go, so you don't have to use the microwave or cook something that morning or whatever. Go in and do your time and go home. So I truly believe in that, but sometimes all of us are not fortunate to have it that way. But I do believe blessings come when you observe his commandments.
I agree with that too as well, Sister Michelle. The things that are not in our control, we have to go with that. I was speaking too on the orchestration of making Friday night the highlight night for the
Right.
evil that comes out on Saturdays and Friday night, perceivably, because it's a pattern and it's happening, every other day. But that's when those who work, take their funds and go, out and and say they deserve it at Friday and Saturday, from working so hard. Um,
Right. Right.
Right. So like I was saying with the it's a blessing in keeping the Sabbath. When it comes to that, knowing that we have to keep the Sabbath, that's how you draw closer to the Most High, and that's how you get to the point where, because you're gonna get, like I said, you have these thoughts coming to your mind on all different types of things. Once you come into the knowledge of the Most High, it's not you. Bible says that Enoch tells us that these ain't fallen angels had giants. When that giant died, the wicked spirit that from that giant is here.
Mm-hmm.
Torment man. So that's where all these wicked ideas and suggestions coming from. So how you prove yourself with the Most High is that you watch what He do. If you when you do keep the Sabbath, you keeping it. It's gonna come a time He gonna make it where you're gonna be able to keep the Sabbath
Oh,
every
yes.
Sabbath. And once when He do that, that's how you come closer to Him. That's how you able to combat these Christians and all that when they ask you who the Lord of hosts is. You can tell them who the Lord of hosts is because what He didn't did with you. How He did perform
Hallelujah.
these things with you. That's how that
Hallelujah.
works. And it's not just in the Sabbath. It's in like us. In my case, when I saw that Jesse wasn't adding up right, I asked him about that situation, and then I'm not gonna sit here and say it happened overnight, but once I prayed, asked about it, waited on it, and it came. Esau, all these things you hear me talking about, they was prayed upon, and the Most High brought the knowledge. He brought the book or the scriptures to right there. And so from
Yes, sir.
time after so many times, you begin to realize that you have nothing to be worried about because at the point in time, He's gonna bring it to you.
Right. Yes, sir.
You're gonna
And
get it.
I learned that. Yes, sir. I learned that because when I first, came into this truth, I was working all the time, you know, and once I learned more and I started receiving more knowledge and I started praying about that, you know, I didn't want to be off traveling and working on the Sabbath, processing new hires and so forth. I wanted to be studying and in class. I was missing that. And I just kept praying, and he blessed me with a job working from home Monday through Friday. And it's such a blessing. So again, he knows your heart. He's looking at your heart, and you just keep praying about it, and he's gonna make it happen.
Exactly.
And that's
And
one
I
thing
can
I'm
agree.
thankful for. Yes.
that's in everything.
Oh, yes, sir.
Right.
I'm thankful the same way. I have a job too, Monday through Friday, no weekends, and I don't, have to do overtime. That's another blessing, and
Right.
so I'm blessed in that same manner. But I'm mostly blessed because one of our sisters in the Prophet of Awakening introduced me to the group, and from there I've always had, like, all of us have came and was transparent to say that we all knew something was wrong. Why always blue eyes, blonde hair, and we get so, condemned and oppressed. So I've always had that in me. And so coming to the Prophets of Awakening has really, put that in perspective of the truth. And so I'm blessed to be here and thankful and grateful that I continue to study and show up.
Yes,
Thank you.
hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, we got another one right here. Okay.
Thing for everybody. Like, you're fit, sis. You look good. I don't need to see your. What in the hell do you have on? Dear Lord, Lord, build me my enemies. Everybody. Hey guys, welcome back to the YouTube channel. Today I have a very short video for you guys. I want to start this series on my channel where I answer you guys' frequently asked questions or any questions in general that you guys ask, because as you guys know, I am working now, so I don't have like a lot of time to film YouTube videos as much as I wanted to. Part of the reason I got a job, I can put more into my channel financially, but also other reasons that I won't go into today. But I want to start this series where I'm going to answer questions, make it a really, really short video, just so I can put out content for you guys, because now that I have a job, I don't want to forget my passion, which is YouTube, and I think it would be cool to do that. So let's go ahead and do that now. So I've gotten quite a few questions over the past few months. I also did put a post on my community tab asking if you guys had any questions and what kind of videos you wanted to see. So this is in no particular order. I literally just pulled a question and wrote down my response for it, and I'm gonna film it. So if you get asked a question, be on the lookout for these videos, because I will be just grabbing questions and answering them. So today's question is, and I'm just gonna have my laptop here because I have my notes on here. It's just easy for me to grab it, answer the questions and all that jazz. So the first question is, I'll also pop it on the screen. How are women supposed to dress in various life settings? Grocery store, gym, work, night out, etc. I believe women should dress modestly in all settings. Wherever you go, you should be dressed modestly. Some women, in truth, believe that women can wear pants, some don't. So whichever one you believe, you should always make sure that you're dressed appropriately, right? So you guys know my position on this. I've said it in various different videos. I talked about it in my last video, but just in case you missed it, here it is. I'm gonna put it on the screen right now. Let's dive deep into this question, because I just want to cover some points. So the first one is, as a woman, you have to know your body, right? You have to know what parts of your body are more voluptuous, more curvy, prone to getting more attention. You, as a woman, you have to know those things, right? So for instance, I consider myself to be pretty curvy. I'm more, I have more going on in the lower half of my body. I'll just say that. I don't want to dwell on that too much. But so when I go out, I try my best to cover up that part of my body the most, right? Now, we have all been guilty of thinking something was modest and thinking things were making total wardrobe faux pas. I've been guilty of it. I just had to private a video because I went back and looked at it for whatever reason, and I was like, oh my God, like, oh my God, like it made me uncomfortable. So I had to private that video, because sometimes you don't realize that something is not modest. And I have the luxury of being able to go back and look at certain things and correcting that issue. But sometimes, just how the world is, someone won't correct you on that. If you're not married, maybe your husband won't correct you on that. Your friends maybe won't correct you on that because they're dressing a certain way. So we just kind of have to know what parts of our body are
the ones that may attract a lot of attention, and make sure to cover those parts up. So I do wear pants, I do wear leggings and things like that. So if I am going to wear pants or leggings, I always either wear a long cardigan, long enough to cover like my derriere and hip area, or I will tie something around my waist. Just be aware of what you got going on and make sure that you're covering that area up so you don't have any problem. Let's talk about the gym. Now, again, it goes back to whether you feel like you can wear pants, you believe that that scripture talks about wearing pants, or you don't wear pants. Women can work out in skirts. It's not like big deal. You can work out in a skirt at the gym, at home, wherever you feel comfortable working out. It's not a big deal at all. It might actually be more comfortable to work out in a skirt if it's like stretchy or whatever it is. So if you do wear only skirts and dresses, work out in a skirt and dress. Now for the women who wear pants, I think this question is more targeted towards them, because when you're working out, I personally don't think there's anything wrong with wearing leggings when you're working out. But again, I can't tell you how many videos I've watched on YouTube with women who work out, which I'm all for. Power to the sisters for that, because listen, I'm currently struggling with that myself, but I'm all for it. Be healthy, work out, do all those things, but I can't tell you how many videos I have watched where girls are working out and they are literally bending over in front of the camera, squatting, doing leg presses, push presses, whatever. I can't tell you how many times I've seen that, and I just don't understand the need to do that. Like, why do you need to show me your booty on camera? Like, you're fit, sis, you look good. I don't need to see your booty. Like, I don't need to see the print of your booty, or like, I don't need to see that. And then we have these leggings nowadays that have like the crunch in the butt area, and I just don't understand that. Like, I really don't. I feel like I'm ranting right now, but I don't get the need to do that. I'm assuming the reason why they have the crunch there is for women who have maybe a smaller behind, so it accentuates that area. But why can't we? This is a whole nother topic, but another video. Why can't we just be happy with what the Most High gave us? Like, you don't need to walk around looking like you have a wedgie all the time. That's not a good look. So, I mean, I'm going off on a tangent, but I've seen countless videos and I just don't understand that at all. If you're a woman in the truth, even if you're not in the truth, yeah, you can dress modestly in the gym with wearing leggings. I've seen women wear dresses. I've seen women wear skirts. I've seen women wear sports, I think is what they're called. I used to wear them back in the day when I was younger, but I haven't. I personally won't wear that. I've said this so many times in my comments. I won't wear a sport, which is, I guess, shorts and a skirt together, because I have fat knees. Like, I have fat knees. It just is what it is. So that one.
So, any comments so far?
I agree with her on that, about what women should be wearing modestly, because again, like she mentioned, why do everybody, have to see all of that? But I be transparent. I know when I was growing up and our parents told us not to wear this or wear that, after I got away from them, I did what I thought I wanted to do and went worldly and did that. But as I grew older, and learned that's not what to do, I pulled away from all of that, and so I do understand, because people, that's that Samuel in enticement and beguiling and all of that. I agree.
Right. Going along with the crowd. Anybody else?
Yes, sir. Shalom. I agree with her with some add-ons. She was saying that, she was, a hippie, young lady, right? So, she always made sure, she would cover up her butt or her hips or whatever. But to me, you're going to cover it all up. You may have small breasts. Um, you don't need to be wearing a push-up bra with those hanging up out of your shirt. And I think that um, a lot of us that are coming into the truth really take the modest look to say, I am this Proverbs 31 woman. I am a Hebrew Israelite woman. I dress modest. I have my head wrap on. Um, and so forth. But it's deeper than that. It's more than that. Dressing modest does have a lot to do with it, but your character also, because you can put on a Proverbs 31 mask. You know what I'm saying? and
Right.
and put on this front, and acting like a Proverbs 31 woman and being a Proverbs 31 woman are totally two different things.
Right. Right. Then I mean, to really just cement that situation right there. I mean, build a little small gym at your house, or in the
Exactly.
room, or
Right.
get one of those little systems where you can. It's a bike, and it's a running
Treadmill or something.
treadmill all together in one. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't have to do no serious working out. Like you got women trying to lift weights like men and build their body like men, and all that
Right.
sounds
Hard
yeah,
bodies.
right,
Right. And when you go to a gym, and the gym is full of men, and you're going in there thinking they're not going to be watching or whistling or staring at you or whatever, you're wrong.
right,
So I do that. It's just best to work out in the comfort of your home. And
right,
I had to learn that the hard way, but that's just the best way to do it.
right. Okay,
I agree with that too. Work out at home.
okay,
Yes, Shalom. I also agree with that because the working out is not for to make the body look a certain way. It's to keep yourself healthy so you can move day by day. You can, so it's a lifestyle to work out. Is for your health, not so much for the body um, shape shaping. That's my thought.
okay,
With the skirt. You can do that. You can even just wear the leggings, find you a nice little skirt and put that over it. You can tie something around your waist. There's also a shirt that I saw on Amazon that I think that would be a really nice workout shirt. It's like, I'll pop it on the screen right here again. It's fairly long. Get some nice leggings to go with that, and you're good to go. The point is, when you go to the gym, you're going to be putting your body in certain positions, and that can be revealing in itself. So you don't want to be showing inappropriate. Your king should check you before you even leave your house. But there may be a situation where he does not do that, right? You never ever ever want to be out with the girls and have to call your king and say, hey, this happened, or some guy is harassing me, or whatever the case may be, these group of guys or whatever is just, and he and defend you, right? You can get yourself hurt, you can get your friends hurt, you can get him hurt, right? Nowadays, you can get him killed because people just don't even care about each other anymore. If you're with him, you don't want him to be in a situation where he's uncomfortable because people are just eyeing you, and he's like, what the hell, like, let's go, or why did you put me in a situation? I wanted to make that point because I think that when we get dressed sometimes as a woman, when we're going for the sexy look, we don't think about how it affects the people around us, how it affects your king and his safety and your safety. So I just wanted to make that point. But overall, to kind of tie everything together, overall, I think as a woman, we do need to dress modestly. We do need to make a point to cover up areas of our body that could potentially be a little more voluptuous than others. And I hope that answers your question, sis. So I'm gonna go because I have to get ready for work.
Okay. So yeah, with that I think it's what's fix that problem is, like I said, you can do that at your house. Get a little all-in-one system, or maybe Israelite girlfriend, both of y'all together, get a little unit or something. You can do it together. You ain't got to be exposed to men or to the public.
Right, because your Lord is gonna know, if you're married or whatever. He's gonna know what the gym is like. He
Right.
knows the gym is full of men, and half of men there are looking for women anyway. So
Yeah.
if he's saying, and he shouldn't have to tell you, I prefer, like you say, you do a workout at home. You can go to Walmart, buy everything you need in Walmart, from the jump rope to the mats to your little 2 pound or 5 pound dumbbells or whatever you need, and work out at home. Because if you going in the gym and you have a nice figure, even if you don't, and you have on leggings, I just, you're going to attract that attention. And it makes no sense to go to a gym with leggings on and a skirt over that. Like that just, it
Right.
makes no sense to me.
Right. Like throwing a steak to a dog.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So we got another one.
To discuss something that has been on my mind for quite some time. A sister had reached out to me. I'm not going to say how or where or what, but I'm not going to give too much detail. But the topic of what she reached out to me about has been on my mind for quite some time. And I'm not sure why this particular interaction stuck with me, but it just has. And I've been thinking about doing a video on like a woman's worth, but I don't know. Yeah, if you're interested in me doing a video about a woman's worth, let me know. You guys know how I do my sit down content. It's very scriptural based and all that jazz. So if you're interested in that, let me know down in the comment section. The gist of what she was saying: men are more important to God than women. I'm trying to tread lightly on how I say what I'm about to say, because I don't really want to offend anyone. I don't mind offending anyone. I'm not trying to offend anyone. That bugs me. That notion bugs me. Israelite women are less than. We're not as important. No good. And in this climate today where I feel like there's this male movement of calling women out, which I'm for. Okay, let's not get twisted. I'm for having real constructive discussion about how Black women, but specifically our women, our sisters in the truth, are things that are detrimental to our mental health, our psyche, our expectations. I think there is a conversation that needs to be had about how women are behaving nowadays. And I think that's okay. I also recognize it's gotten to a level of toxicity. Right, I made a video a while ago. It was a vlog, but in the vlog, I said, well, what about the righteous women? Sometimes I can take issue with, because the state of women today are a certain way, sometimes I feel like we as righteous women and women in truth and women who are trying to do the right thing can get grouped in with them. I don't like that, because I don't know, maybe this is just like a selfish thing, but it's like sometimes when you're doing the right thing and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and you're living the way that you're supposed to be living, and someone groups you in with someone who's not, it can be offensive. It can be like, I'm not doing those things because I'm at home every day taking care of my kids, cooking, cleaning, taking care of my husband, trying to make a better way for my family. You get what I'm saying? So I think it really bothers me because it took me a while to get to the place that I am today. And it took a lot of work and a lot of dedication and a lot of changing. It's not something that happened overnight. I got there by the grace of the Most High. I put in a lot of work, tears, effort, prayer, fasting. Like, I did the work. So it's just like sometimes when someone reduces you to all these other chicks, it can be offensive. But that's neither here nor there. So this notion that women are less than, women are not as important, women are not vital to, yes, men are extremely important. God made man first, right? So clearly men are important. Clearly God made man in his image. But God could have chosen anybody to make a companion for a man. He could have chosen, he could have made, chose, decided anything, but he made woman, right? As a compliment to a man. So the notion that we are not important is correct to me. My favorite chapter of the Bible is absolutely Proverbs 31. Because whenever I'm confused or I need reminding or I need to know what my purpose is as a woman in the truth, it always just lays it bare for me. And I don't know how anyone could be aware, read, know Proverbs 31 and make claims that women are not important. I don't understand how someone could come to that conclusion. We're our husband's other half. So whereas a man is strong and he's dominant, we're the opposite of that for a reason. It's not because we're just here to look cute. All that foolishness, beauty is vain. Let me read the scripture to you. Don't put my hood on because you know you gotta have your head covered. This is Proverbs 31, verse 15 through 18. She is more precious than rubies, and all the things thou canst desire are not to be compared unto her. Length of her days is in her right hand, and in her left hand riches and honor. Her ways are ways of pleasantness, and all her paths are peace. She is a tree of life to them that lay hold upon her, and happy is everyone that retaineth her. So the notion that women are not important, why would the Most High say these things about women if we weren't extremely vital to our nation? We're far more precious than ruby, okay? The best thing a man could do is get a virtuous woman, get a good woman, get a good wife to share his life with. That's the best thing that he can do. And together procreate and further our people so we can continue to pass our truth and traditions down. That is the purpose of being a woman and a man. So the notion that an Israelite woman or woman in the truth is not important and not vital to the community and is worthless and she is just so much underneath the man and she's evil is crazy to me. I don't understand how.
Okay. Any comments so far?
Oh man. Shalom. I agree with her with the statement that she made with we seem to have men that lump all the women together. I have a big issue with that also, because I truly believe in the Most High also bringing women to this truth because we are needed in this also. And when you see that you have certain women that, like she says, putting in the work, they're at home doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're not out in the worldly sauce running around. They're studying the scriptures also, or whatever. You don't lump them with the worldly sauce woman. She's set apart from those women. And I have a big problem with that also. And also I think we focus more on what a woman does and not who she was created to be. We were created to be the helpmeet, to bring forth the seed. It does not mean we're no lesser, that we are not worthy, and the Most High don't love us, so forth. That it does not mean that. It's just that we are superior in our role. And I just think that's where a lot of confusion comes in.
Okay. Any other comments?
Shalom. My comment is that when we do get in the role, it also brings on the male of that may not be, I mean, what would we call the male? Um, what is his title? For us to be virtuous, to be upright, and then what does the male role is for us to, um, you said we are helpmate, and there are more women here on this earth than there are men. And when it comes down, it's going to be more women than men. So, what is the role of a woman who does not uh, engage or have someone? That's a question, rather than.
Okay, yeah. Well, he just it's when you look at he said understand him, understand his creation. So when you go back to the very beginning, what a lot of people don't know is, and you have to just sit and think about it, is when he created the lion, he didn't just create one lion, he created a lion and a bunch of females because that those first lion and first lions they had to you know they had to mate and have more. So it was more females than it was males to reproduce those uh, to make that whatever species that was to make it progress faster. And so you see that all across his creation is way more females than males. You go to the hen house, way more females than males. And another thing too, you see how the male is always adorned. The rooster got the crown on his head. The lion got the mane. All of them, they're always adorned. And you go back to it's about reproducing. That those features that they have draw the female. It's about reproduction. And so yeah, so when you understand that, that's what it is. That's how that operates. Like with Israel, uh, the other nations didn't have that concept. They probably did, but not in a lawful way like Israel had. And so every time when they was in Egypt, when they tried to reduce their population, they couldn't because of that simple fact. Even now, when back in the 60s and 70s, we would have uh, uh, 13, 14, at least 10 children in the family.
Right, right.
They attacked all that. I know my dad had 19 brothers. It was 19 boys and one girl. And then in our family, it was 8 girls, 5 boys, and they had a stillborn girl, but it was 13, 15 in the family altogether. So they reduced all that down because of just from talking. Like I said, that's where we go wrong at listening with these clowns talking, and not paying attention to what's going on. So that's just protocol. There's more females than males, and it's for that simple reason, reproduction. Yeah,
Right, and we stay with our kind, like you said. When there was
right,
a lion, there was, five or six lioness that was around him. He
right,
didn't go off to mate with a bear. You
right,
you know
right,
what I'm saying? We stayed with our kind, just like the
right,
video you was playing earlier about the royal family. You know what I'm
right,
saying? And
right,
and we have gotten away from that.
right. And you can go all the way in on that when they start talking about mankind and all that stuff. How he's superior than the animal. Well, you don't see no squirrel trying to talk to a mongoose,
Right.
even though they kind of in the same species like family, but you don't see no squirrel trying to talk to no mongoose. You don't see no crocodile trying to sleep with no python. You don't see none of that. And then the biggest thing is albinos. All the animals, I don't care what family of animals it is, if an albino come on the scene, they all shun it until it pass away. Because if anybody reproduce with it, it's gonna. They know that those seeds ain't gonna make it because it's degenerative. So, but look at us. We latch on everything the white folks say. But the lion, the bear, the gorilla, they got enough sense to see that there's something wrong. You say albino, something ain't right with them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, but this is something you got to chalk up. Everybody don't have balls for that. But anyway, okay. So I'm going to play a little more of this.
Someone who's in the truth, reads the Bible, can say that. To sum it all up, the point that I'm trying to make is if you're a woman in truth and you're feeling less than, you're feeling unworthy, you're there to balance out the man. You're there to be his companion. You're there to be his other half. You're there to create a dynamic in the home where he can confide in you. You guys can be one. You can be his greatest champion. I'm ranting now. I'm ranting. But that's all I have to say. I just wanted to give my opinion on that. So again, if you want to see that video, let me know. I'll go ahead and throw something together.
Okay. So with that being said, I got one more. And we will close out. Okay. Okay.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Laboratorium. My name is Darnay DeBoer, and I'm going to be your host. On today's episode, questions for the Hebrew Israelites, multiple wives. When I first encountered the Hebrew Israelites, I was not ready, okay? But I was stuck because I had already invited the conversation, but I had no idea what they believed or why they believed it. So day by day, I was getting hammered all of a sudden with all this new Bible doctrine I had never heard before. Okay, I had already studied Catholicism, I studied Mormonism and Islam and Jehovah's Witness, but this was something new. This was different. Okay, this was doctrine wrapped up in blood lineage. It was wrapped up in heritage, ego, and pride. I had a few scriptures that I offered some resistance, but I wasn't tying them together like I could have or like I should have. Finally, they hit me with the challenge that I was more prepared to deal with on the spot. Namely, that a man who's a Hebrew can have more than one wife, specifically up to 7 wives. And I said, wait a minute, what? I know the Bible enough to know that you can only have one wife, one man, one wife. He said, nope. The reason why you don't know these things are because your Christian pastors are lying to you, okay? Your Christian pastors have been lying for generations, and only now do we know the truth that a Hebrew man can have up to 7 wives. And I said, okay, you got to show me this particular passage. When he presented this to me, we were in the gym, believe it or not. I did not have my Bible on me, or I didn't even have my phone on me where I can look up the passage myself.
Yeah, we just talked about this verse right here.
So he had his phone with him, so I went ahead and just told him, go ahead and read it to me. Isaiah 4:1 reads, and in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. I'm reading that from the King James Version Bible. So the question is this what it actually says? 7 women shall take hold of one man. I knew enough by that point to need context. What's going on before? What's going on after? Who's speaking? Who are they speaking to? Give me the context, I asked. But when I asked him for context, it looked like he didn't know what context meant. So I told him the same thing. Read what's before, what's after, and tell me what's going on. So he read the verse before, read the verse after, and it really didn't give us a lot in the way of context. So now this was on me. I've got to figure out what this verse actually says, what's going on. And I told him, I said, tell you what, I'm going to research this verse myself. I'm going to study it. But if it does not say what you're claiming it says, then we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about this. So he said, okay, went home and I studied. I looked at the passage, and here's what I figured out. I realized one of the confusing issues with this passage, Isaiah 4:1, is that it starts with Isaiah 4:1. It doesn't start where it needed to start, which is chapter 3, believe it or not. The passage, the chapter divisions and the verses, understand that all those numbers and divisions were added over 1,000 years after the Bible was compiled. So these are later additions. So I don't know why the translators or the ones who added the verses and the chapter breaks, I don't know why they did it in this particular point, but they did. However, the context of chapter 4, verse 1 is found in chapter 3. What's going on? There was actually a curse going on. All right. So the first thing that tipped me off was the passage itself. Let me read it to you once again. And in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name, to take away our reproach. What does reproach mean? Okay, I had a feeling, but let me just be sure. Let's define reproach. When you look up reproach, it means to blame, disapproval, discredit, shame, disgrace. So this whole verse has a negative connotation to it. The women are asking for their reproach, their disgrace, their blame, their shame to be taken from them. Is this what normally happens when a woman and a man meet? The woman needs her disgrace taken from her by the man? No, this is not normally what happens when marriages occur. So let's go ahead and take a look at chapter 3 and learn more about this curse. How did these women end up with all this reproach that they're trying to get rid of? In Isaiah 3, let's look at 16 through 26, but we're going to break it up. Starting with 16 through 17, the Lord says, women of Zion are haughty, walking along with outstretched necks, flirting with their eyes, strutting along with swaying hips, with ornaments jingling on their ankles. Therefore the Lord will bring sores on the heads of the women of Zion, and the Lord will make their scalps bald. Well, this changes everything. This really changes everything now. These women who were beautiful, stunning, they have all these nice clothing, adorning them, and they have these bracelets and probably anklets that jingle. I've met women like that, women that are just beautiful, and then when they walk by, you can hear them walking by, whether they're popping gum super loud or they've got bracelets and anklets on that jingle when they walk. They're saying, pay attention to me. I'm walking by. Look at me and give me my due observance, okay? Compliment me. Let me know how beautiful I am. I've met those in real life, okay? So the Bible is saying there's basically nothing new under the sun. These women back in the day were doing that same thing as well. So what did God do? He brought sores on their heads and made them bald. Oh, wow. So now it's not enough just to have sores on your head. You're bald now, so everyone can see the sores on your head. You can't use your long hair to cover it. Let's continue on with 18 through verse 23. In that day, the Lord will snatch away their finery, the bangles and headbands and crescent necklaces, the earrings and bracelets and veils, the headdresses and anklets and sashes, the perfume bottles and charms, the signet rings and nose rings, the fine robes and the capes and cloaks, the purses and mirrors and the linen garments and tiaras and shawls. Everything that they added to their person, okay, clothing, the adornments, the accessories are all going to be gone, snatched away. Nothing, they will have nothing appealing that will be able to cover their body. Verse 24 through 26, instead of fragrance, there will be a stench. Instead of a sash, a rope. Instead of well-dressed hair, baldness. Instead of fine clothing, sackcloth. Instead of beauty, branding. Your men will fall by the sword, your warriors in battle. The gates of Zion will lament and mourn. destitute, she will sit on the ground. They're going to stink, they're going to be bald, and they're going to dress with sackcloth and a rope. These women who were once beautiful beyond beauty are now going to be hideous and smell foul. Okay? Now it makes sense. Their husbands that they had are dying in battle. Okay, so now they're suddenly widowed. So of course they're looking for protection. They're looking for the station that they had before. Back in this day, your station was determined by whom you married. So as a woman, well, okay, woman, who's your husband? Oh, I'm married to so and so, or I'm married to so and so, which means how important he is how important I am. But now they're dying in battle. Okay, so now they have no one. They're looking desperately for someone to marry them. So now it makes sense. This is the reproach that is grace that was talked about in Isaiah 4, verse 1. Israel, both Jerusalem and Judah, they're under a curse because of their sin. And we see that in Isaiah 3, verse 1 through 3. So this wasn't the norm for marriage. All their men were being killed. We see that in Isaiah 3, verse 25. This is why context is so very important when you're doing studies like this. So let's look at that verse again. Isaiah 4:1, third time. In that day, 7 women will take hold of one man and say, we will eat our own food and provide our own clothes. Only let us be called by your name. Take away our disgrace. I'm reading this from the NIV this time. We know that reproach means disgrace. Once again, now this makes sense. These women were stricken with a curse. Their men were killed in battle. They stink. They're bald. Their heads are bald. They've got scabs. They have no fine jewelry anymore. They have nothing. They are full of shame through this curse. So they are desperately looking for a man to marry them. And up to 7 of them will approach one man, whatever men are left, and say, take us. You don't even have to love us, okay? We'll make our own food and our own clothes. Just let's belong to you. That's a curse. That is not the norm for marriage. So when I brought this information to the attention of the Hebrew Israelites who gave this verse to me.
Okay, so comments.
That was a lot. Yes, sir. That was a lot. So I do have a couple of questions on that, Brother Leonard. So starting in Isaiah chapter 3, right, where he started reading at verse 16, the daughters of Zion.
Right.
Right. Is it because we were also disobedient?
Yeah, he's saying it, but he's so busy trying to disprove the Hebrew Israelites. He's saying it right in his face. These are the women in Isaiah chapter 3 is haughty.
Haughty,
They're beside themselves.
right.
They're in rebellion. They're in rebellion against the Most High.
Got you. Okay. So that verse, so chapter 4, verse 1 is not the type of women that a Hebrew Israelite man would want. Those women that they're talking about in that verse saying we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach.
Okay, so let's look at that. So
yes,
what
sir.
they remind you of, based on what you guys so far, with them saying that, and after wasn't already happened to them, he already caused them to lay down in the streets, and they got sackcloth on with a rope on. But we see what they had. We see what they had at first. They had status. They had a strong Israelite man. The Most High took away their status, their clothes, and killed their man.
Right, took away that
So
strong Hebrew Israelite man.
Right. So he's still saying, all we want you to do is get him off of us. We want all that stuff back, but we want you to cover us just to get you off him, just to get him off of us.
Ain't that something?
Not that they have no remorse.
Right.
They just want to get him off of them.
Right. And no intentions probably to do right either. Go ahead. Yes, sir.
So Fast forward that. Ain't that where we at right now?
Oh, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So ain't the
Yes,
men,
sir.
ain't the police killing the men? Ain't the men in the prison? Ain't the men
Yes.
dying like flies? Just like
Yes.
just like Cheryl just said, ain't the women way more women than men?
Yes.
So the
Yes.
same thing get ready to happen again. That's what this clown don't understand.
Yes.
It's times 100 now.
Yes.
It's times 100. We were talking about the righteous, how the Most High is going, Isaiah 44, 1 through 5, he's going to pour his spirit on us these last days.
Mm-hmm.
You got two baskets of
Mm,
feed.
mm,
The righteous basket ain't that many in it. But
mm.
it's a truckload of wicked folks.
Oh, yes, it is.
So like I said, the same situation is times 100. Well, he don't understand. He's so busy trying to debunk what the order that the Most High have in place. So we
Right.
see that, and even that spirit is time 100 today. Them women
Yes.
back then, the Israelite women back then wasn't showing their butt and walking
Right.
around naked and getting butts, getting butt sewed on, getting lips sewed on their bodies. It's
Right.
time
And
100.
BBLs. Mhm.
Yeah, right. So it's time 100 now. So imagine that same predicament is way worse now. And
Amen.
that's what I mean by that simple situation right there. That's why it's so important to understand who the Lord of hosts is and who these seven angels is, because they have roles. And so, just like that, when the Syrian army came up against Israel and posted up outside of Jerusalem, and they had destroyed all the other nations before that. So the king, the Lord of hosts for the Syrian army told them, we gonna, you saw what we done to all your neighbors. So we're gonna party tonight, and in the morning we're gonna tear this place up. But that night, why the Lord of hosts came amongst them and caused them to start fighting with each other, and they killed each other.
Mhm.
So you gotta understand that's what he do. So fast forward it. Look what we're looking at right now.
Right.
They fighting with each
Right.
other right
All the
now.
killing.
Yeah, that's his hand. The same being is doing the same thing now. But you gotta understand that.
Mm, I
So
know.
he so you had women back then with a rebellious spirit and men, and we saw what he done. He killed the men and he like he said, stripped the women and showed their private parts. And they laid down in the streets with shame.
Yes, indeed.
And we see the same thing today. They showing their private parts. He just stripped them naked. He just stripped the knowledge from them. Stripped the knowledge from the Israelites in general.
Right.
Ain't nothing new under the sun.
That's right.
Right.
And
So
and
go ahead.
I'm sorry, sir. Excuse me. And he mentioned something about that he has ran across plenty of women that has beauty, may smell
Right.
good, their jewelry on, or
Yeah.
or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But that goes back to what I was saying earlier. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? It's not about the looks, and a lot of people think that. And I think a while back, even Cheryl brought that up too, is that when you see two people together and you may say, oh, what he doing with her, what she doing with him, or whatever, and they just looking at the looks, the outer part,
Right.
and when it comes to a woman, it's who she is in the inside that truly makes her a virtuous woman. It's not her looks. It's not, because she got on a head wrap and, nice jewelry and smelling good and she keep herself well. That's not a Proverbs, 31 woman.
Right. Right. And we see that. Like I was saying, when it's so much more going on with the scriptures. If you haven't conditioned your mind, like I said, thinking like a Hebrew, so much stuff you miss. So look at the Bible tells you The scripture tell you how Rachel looked it, right?
Right.
And
Right.
and Leah didn't look as much, right?
Right.
So
Yes, sir.
Joseph loved Rachel. It's because of her appearance and all that. He felt he was in love with her. So who did the Most High womb close? He closed up.
He gave him the opposite and made him have to work for the other one that he wanted, and um,
Um,
just for the looks.
right? He fought Leah's case. He
Mm.
fought Leah's cause. He closed
Right.
Rachel's womb,
Right. Yes.
and Leah started having kids all over the place. So you got to be careful. You ain't fighting. You ain't when you doing that kind of stuff. You fighting against the Most High.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, look what happened with Moses. We know all the things. Moses was a warrior, and Aaron and Miriam kept on talking against him. He could have easily came over there and did a number on him, but he was a meek man. He was a meeker man. So the Lord of hosts fought his cause. So you got to be careful what you're doing.
Sir.
Shalom. Man, they said that Zion is a refuge. It's the city of refuge. So how did the daughters of Zion? Um, I know they was I would think like they were disobedient and that all. But I mean, what made them disobedient when they were in the city of refuge?
Well, they got beside themselves because of the what they had. They had everything. They tell you all the stuff they had possessed, and then they had a righteous Israelite man. They had it all, and they got beside themselves. We see the men in Israel did the same thing. After all he done, the very ones that witnessed his power in Egypt, when they got to, he told them that. Moses told them that in Deuteronomy 32, you're going to get to the land and you're going to wax fat and kick. And that's exactly what they did.
So today in this time, like these women that's
They got beside
doing,
themselves.
like you said,
That's what I
yes,
mean.
yeah, wearing provocative clothing and
Right.
altering their
They had
bodies.
everything. Right.
So the males
And
that see all that, they're not. What are they are called that being influenced by that and engaging in it?
That falls for those women.
yeah, that's
Yes.
the wicked basket. He said you got two baskets of feed. One's good, very good. Then some the wicked basket, bad and very bad, very wicked. That's what that is. There's nothing new under the sun.
Right, because if he was a Hebrew man, he would know better and know not
Right.
to be enticed and looking.
Exactly. Right. And like I said, at this very moment, I mean, we of this generation right here, uh, just a generation ago, uh, they don't have access to this information this Most High bring forth now. He's doing what he said he's gonna do. He's bringing forth. He said before the end of time, the rocks are gonna speak out. So we see right here, he's bringing all this information. We not in the dark. We not in the dark like I said, like our mothers was, or grandmother, or grandfathers. We in the Most High bringing forth the light. We
Yes,
pour the
sir.
spirit out on us. So it's no excuse now, because he says happy are the feet that the Most High, the man the Most High sent. Happy are the feet of the man that comes bringing good tidings. So you can be off track and shun that person, or you can be on point and receive them. Like the lady said, I don't know if you remember the story where the Levi kept coming by the lady's house, and every time he come, they get all kind of blessings. So the grandmama told her, let's build it as an add-on to the house. He always coming through here all the time on his way to wherever he going. He stop over here, so let's do an add-on and set him up a little spot when he come through here. So you good. So then you ain't no number putting blessings on yourself. That's another Abigail. Yeah. Any more comments?
Yes, Brother Leonard. Shalom. You talked about the 4 points, and everything was great tonight, and I agree with a lot. And they added the takeaways. We went through Sabbath, the importance and the sacredcy of that. Then we went through the dress appearance and the modestness and what your apparel looks like, and but on the third one, I didn't grasp the topic on that third one. But then the fourth one was about the 7 wives and about those who had, and then they, went against the Most High, and He showed them, the results of that. So 3. What was the third one, sir?
What was that? That was about a woman's dress, how a woman should dress, right?
Right, and the
That
characteristics, yes.
Yeah, characteristics of
okay.
certain
So we had
clothes
Sabbath, the
and how to
dress,
dress
and
modestly. Yeah,
right. Okay.
you had dressing, you had a woman's worth, and then you had the
Okay.
uh, wives.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Right. Yeah, she just was pretty much putting emphasis on how to dress moderately, and how to, you know, not to dress in a worldly way, but dress in modesty. And she's kind of focused on going to the gym. Where we came to the point was, you know, to set some up at your house if you wanted to work out. Because I was dealing with
Yes, sir.
well, I'm dealing with him off and on. Yaki, I don't know if anybody know him. He's a herbalist, and he was talking about how, you know, and I can relate to it because I was an athlete. That's all I ever did was play sports until recently. So, you know, it's a major difference in when you sweating. If you sweat on a daily basis, then you don't. You know, because it's a process that happens when your body heat up and you start sweating. And if you've been doing it all your life, your body used to that, and then you stop doing it, you can have some serious problems. But that's part of, like I said, a car. I mean, you know, you go buy a brand new car and sit in the garage, doing what it was designed to do. It's gonna go to the dog after a while because they ain't doing what it's supposed to do. You're not starting it up, you ain't driving. So it's the same with the body. If you ain't, it's supposed to sweat. It's supposed to perspire. Body's supposed to get hot because there's things that happens when the body heats up. It's a process that they have to go through. And if you ain't doing that, you know, like I said, your body not functioning like it's supposed to. So you can perspire at your house. You ain't necessarily got to go to the gym. It's back to that old, you know, the pagan way. You want to people run to the church house looking for a man or looking for a woman, so they fixing up. The same with the gym. You got to look at your motives for why you going to the gym. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Any
I
comments?
have,
Anybody got any comments?
yes, shalom, shalom. Um, while we are speaking about women, now, is it, my question is, how do the older women tell the younger women how to, about the Sabbath, or how is that going? How's that to be done? So we have younger women that is influenced by this world, the material things, and how can we bring them into knowledge of the Sabbath and how to go about being a virtuous woman?
Right. So now when looking at everything the way it is now, like the Most High was saying, after those fallen angels came down, everything is off course. So after we was cast out of the land of Israel, and then we still had some semblance of our culture and all that when we was residing in Africa. But once they came and got us and scattered us to the Bahamas and the Americas and all that, we done lost our identity. So we off our course. So the situation we're in now, uh, a 70-year-old man can get schooled by a 20-year-old, 70-year-old boy,
Right.
or the other way around. A 20-year-old girl might school a 50, 60-year-old woman. She might
Yes.
came in contact with the knowledge of the Most High, and then the mama or some other older woman have no clue on the Most High. So it's out of order. It's just it's like I said, it's having that spirit of an Israelite and understanding when the Most High have sent somebody to you, no matter who it is, and you absorb that understanding with a meek heart, contrite spirit. It's not about their age or whoever they
Age.
are. It's
Right.
about when we bring the knowledge to you.
Hallelujah.
We all track. So they didn't throw us off with that. So you never know. Like I was saying, you'd be surprised at people that never heard nothing about a Hebrew Israelite. With all the stuff that's on the internet, on TikTok, and all this Google, you got people don't know one thing about Hebrew Israelite. So you don't know who's going to bring it to you, whether it's a kid or elderly person or what. You don't know who's going to bring it to you. And then even today, it could be a Caucasian.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay, everybody good?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And thank you so
Great
much.
class.
Okay.
I would like to just put something on the record tonight, just in case we have someone that runs across this recording tonight. Right when I first came into the truth, it was years later before I truly read Proverbs 31. Right. And as I read Proverbs 31, and I done, a lot of research, studying, watching a lot of channels, as you say, taking the meat and out of it and throwing away the bones and so forth. I came to the understanding that Proverbs 31 woman is who she really is. It has nothing to do with the woman's looks. So as Hebrew Israelite women, I think Proverbs 31 is a great book. It is a book of wisdom that we should really study and focus on. And I truly think it helps us when it comes to knowing who we are and walking in this truth and connecting to the Most High.
I'd like to add to that too. I think Proverbs is one along with Psalms. Excuse me, Proverbs has a lot of the wisdom, and Songs has a lot of the history there in between, and it tells of the Most High, how He destroys, how He loves, how He, do what He says He's going to do. So those books are very encouraging as aspiration, and on a daily, it's good to go to them and just continue to fill your soul and your spirit with the word.
Yes, ma'am. I
Shalom. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that both of those books are books of wisdom, but I was speaking on Proverbs chapter 31 in reference to the virtuous woman and understanding, who we are and understanding what it means to be a helpmeet. Proverbs and Song are both books of wisdom, but I was just speaking on the lines of a Hebrew Israelite woman.
Shalom. I wanted to know if the lost books, any of the lost books, came to enlighten on Proverbs 31. Does it have any, you know,
Judith, the
book?
book of Judith, the book
Say
of
it
Judith,
again.
the book of
Judith.
Judith. Yeah,
Okay.
and then and the book of Esther, the additions to Esther. Got that in the apocryphal books.
What was
And
that last
Susanna.
one? What was that
You got
last one, Brother Lynn?
you got the editions of Esther. All these apocryphal books. Edition of Esther. You got Judith, and then you got Susanna.
Oh, okay.
They
Okay. Yes, sir.
all those shine a light on the virtues. All three of those are virtuous women, and they
Okay.
give you the description. They give you the description of how they carry themselves.
Okay. Thank you, because I want to get more of a model or more of a visual
Right.
of what it
Especially
is to be.
Judith. Especially the book of Judith.
Thank you so much.
All right. Okay. Okay. So with that being said, I enjoy the class. I see everybody at the class for our Friday night class.
Yes.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom. Thank you.
Shalom,
Shalom.
everyone. Shalom.